with another banger. So please smash that like button, you guys, and subscribe. And yeah, man, I want to talk about Gary Russell Jr. coming up, man. Upcoming fight against Magaso. Excuse me if I'm butchering his name. I believe he's a fighter from Manny Pacquiao's um from his stable and the fighters that he's promoting, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, this is a really big fight for Gary Russell. I know he's not a named opponent, but he's 23-0 with 16 knockouts. And you know, Gary Russell's heading into one of the bigger fights of his career. You know, and it might not say that on paper, but this guy's young, he's hungry. And you know, Gary Russell's been out of the ring for almost 2 years. So you know, we gotta see what Gary Russell can do. You know, and they saying that, you know, Gary Russell Jr. had his dad has had his foot amputated with complications of type 2 diabetes. So prayers up to his father. I met his father at the MGM Grand. They are very nice guy, very humble. And you know, I believe that Gary Russell and his brothers are very good fighters as well, man. Very under I guess you could say underrated, you know what I mean? But you know, I feel like right now, you know, you got Gary Russell Jr. coming up into this fight. He's pretty much saying that he's training himself, you guys. So, you know, for a guy like that at this top level to be training himself could possibly, you know, could go a couple different ways, you know. Gary Russell Jr. is a very slick and you know, very slick and very good fighter. His only loss is to Vasyl Lomachenko. As you guys all know, you know, before Lomachenko lost to Teofimo Lopez, which he said he had an injury, a lot of you guys were rating, Teofimo Lopez at the top of you guys' rankings, you know. So, you know, I think moving forward, Gary Russell Jr. is a good fighter though, but you know, he's going in there with this young, hungry lion. They're saying that his dad, has been in and out of the camp, hasn't been there the whole camp, and that's what he's saying. So it's like one of those things, you know. Will this affect Gary Russell Jr. and his fight coming up? You know, I think a lot of people have I'm not gonna say written off Gary Russell, but they want to, you know, boxing is a what have you done for me lately type of sport. And a lot of people have mixed emotions about Gary Russell Jr. They're saying, some saying that he doesn't fight enough. Some also say that, you know, Gary Russell Jr. is not is not fighting the top guys, you know, at his weight class, you know. He's at 126. I mean, shit. You even had Shakur Stevenson at 126. He just recently moved up to 130. So Shakur Stevenson is not even at 126 anymore. Gary Russell's been at 126, you know, almost his whole career. He was at 126, you know, when he lost to Vasyl Lomachenko in 2014, I believe that's when that fight went down. That's almost 8 years ago. But he hasn't lost since. You know, he's been on a tear lately, and you know, he's beaten the likes of JoJo Diaz, which Devin Haney just beat. Neither one stopped JoJo Diaz, but you know, Devin Haney looked pretty good, you know, in the JoJo Diaz fight, you know. You got to give credit where credit is due. But yeah, Gary Russell Jr. ahead of his fight coming up January 22nd. He's been pretty much training himself, you guys. I would love to know what you guys think about this. You know, he is a very dedicated fighter. I believe he eats, sleeps, and breathes boxing. And I don't believe he, you know, drinks and parties and all of that stuff. So he's a pretty much a good fighter through and through. So as long as Gary Russell Jr.'s career can last, I think he put a couple more years on his career because of his outside, like the things that he do outside of the ring. I think they're good from what I see. You know, we don't never see Gary Russell in the news for, you know, doing wild and crazy shit. You know, he's been pretty much a real athlete through and through. And I think that'll be beneficial for him moving forward. This fight, if he wins this fight, he could be possibly fighting Javante Tank Davis next. You know, Javante Tank Davis has not named his opponent yet. Some would say that Javante Tank Davis is gonna be fighting, Gary Russell Jr. next. We shall see. That is yet to be, determined. But right now I think that this is a good fight. It's a good fight. It's coming up January 22nd. So yeah, man. But I just want to give you guys this news, this update. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please smash that like button and subscribe. And this is Corey Lee Boxing, and you've definitely been hit with another banger. Peace out, you guys. Thank you guys so much, man, for watching.